Werewolf by Night, a 1 hour MCU special. Let's get into the details before we jump into the review. So it has a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes currently as a critic score. Audience score even higher, 93%. Not surprising for a Marvel Cinematic Universe project. IMDb has it at a 7.5 out of 10. Certainly respectable. Synopsis reads, on a dark and somber night, a secret cabal of monster hunters emerge from the shadows and gather at the Bloodstone Temple following the death of their leader. The attendees are thrust into a mysterious and deadly competition for a powerful relic, the Bloodstone. Ricky Flicks, initial reactions to Werewolf by Night from director Michael Giacchino.
Our boy, our score boy. I don't even know what we call him. Composer? He's our composer, but that's Hans Zimmer. So I don't think he's our guy, even though he's our guy, a la Pattinson. But the hype around this movie got high quick. The expectations were average until the Rotten Tomato scores start coming in. More critics start seeing it before it gets released on Disney+. This is a Disney Plus special, not a theater special, a Disney Plus special. So expectations are still down. But again, Rotten Tomato, it's at, what is it now? Like 90-something?
92.
Certified fresh. That says a lot. It's in his first directorial debut, feature debut. This is quite the achievement. Now, is this in the God level or Hall of Fame tier of MCU? No, not even close. But was this good and beat my expectations? Yes, and they were high after seeing all the buzz on Twitter over the past week.
Yeah. And I do want to say we're going to go spoiler free for the first 10 minutes here before we dive into like the actual special. I just think the concept of this was so smart. It was so genius to have a character like Werewolf by Night, something that fits into the Halloween vibe, right? Something that could be one of the first Halloween specials. We don't have a series devoted to Jack Russell, the character, to Elsa Bloodstone, to my favorite character, Man-Thing. Instead,
everyone's favorite.
We don't have to spend 9 episodes or 3 hours of our time, right, with a character that we might grow tired of or one that we may not accept or MCU fans won't accept. This was a genius move to just like, okay, let's pilot this new character. Let's only spend an hour with them. Let's not give all the backstory, but are we going to dig their vibe? Are we going to dig their look? Are we going to dig the aesthetic, right, that surrounds this character? Like, this was ingenious, like for Feige to say, or having, first of all, Giacchino, this is also like his first major directorial debut. So to him come on for not a full feature, 1 hour, it's going to center around your music, right? He's been central to the sound of the MCU for over a decade now. I think it was just great because I dug it. And if I didn't dig it, it'd be okay. Right? If I didn't dig it, like this one didn't have very strong connections. At least it didn't feel like strong connections to the overall MCU. It has Easter eggs right here and there for like the hardcore MCU fan. But I got to know these characters a little bit during this 1 hour special. And I got to tell you, I want more. I do want more. And the chemistry between Man-Thing and Jack Russell, it tugs at the heartstrings a little bit. It's very touching. Has little Guillermo del Toro vibes to it. So did you like this idea, this concept of a 1 hour special to introduce Werewolf by Night?
Yeah, this was a great concept because, yeah, you mentioned it. We don't have the filler episodes that we talk about on a weekly basis with She-Hulk or Andor, right? It's just straight to the point, 1 hour, not even an hour and a half or 2 hours, 55 minutes of just getting right to the point. And sometimes that's the way to tackle this, especially during Halloween season. Now, when you're like watching a bunch of different things, like Freeform has their 31 days of Halloween, you know what I'm saying? Like you're in the mood to watch Halloween. A quick thing like that is perfect for this season. Mm-hmm. So speaking of that, I am not a Halloween guy. I think that's obvious because I haven't even seen the Mike Myers, Jamie Lee Curtis Halloween. So I am not a big Halloween horror
Michael Myers. Don't say Mike Myers. Michael Myers. That's okay. How you make the difference.
There it is. See, I'm not a Halloween guy. Yeah, I'm not into horror spooky as much. It's not like I hate on it. I don't dig it as much, but I dug this. It had a story behind it. Yes, it was short, maybe to the point a little too much. The first 20 minutes, maybe the clarity there was too simple, yet we didn't know enough. But at the end of the day, for someone that doesn't dig Halloween that much, I loved it. I really did. And again, my expectations, like I didn't expect God level or Hall of Fame tier for this movie, MCU. But now I'm excited. It got me excited to say, okay, what other characters are we going to explore in the MCU down in this underworld of the MCU? Now I'm excited. I didn't even think for 1 second. When I'm thinking MCU, I'm thinking I want it for the next characters I want to see. I'm thinking X-Men. I'm thinking Fantastic Four. I'm thinking characters that haven't been introduced yet that are major comic book players. But now I'm thinking, okay, they're kind of letting me down with X-Men. They're kind of letting me down with Fantastic Four. They're delaying the inevitable. They have a Moon Knight show that came out. They had this. Do I just get into the underworld more? Do I have to explore these comics more? And that's what these specials should do. These short features, they should explore new avenues. It's a total risk-free bet because if it sucked, it was a one-time thing and they could just get rid of it. If it was a TV show, we would have another 9 weeks of it. This was a great idea, accomplishes and more what they were striving for. And I got to tip my hat to Feige after all the crap I was giving him over the past few months. I got to tip my hat to him. This was a great move.
And it didn't feel completely like a Marvel project. I loved that it had the 30s to 40s horror movie aesthetic, right, that Giacchino's going for. And I thought immediately, okay, this has got to be set in the 1920s. This has got to be set in the 1930s. And what we find out is that that's not the case, right? I guess we are jumping into spoilers. I'll put a spoiler warning right before that. But it's shot in black and white. It has the sounds of a 30s and 40s horror movie, but it's set in modern day, and this is a different vibe, and it's a different mode of storytelling for the MCU. And we talk about changing things up in the MCU and making everything not feel just identical to one another. It's what WandaVision tried to do. It's had those different it had a variety, right, of different styles per episode that made it intriguing. But ultimately, when we get to the last 2 episodes of WandaVision, it feels like just every other Marvel property. And then we see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. The first half feels so generic MCU, but then we see the Sam Raimi touch in that horror atmosphere. And wow, this is something different. And this is something that we haven't it's a different avenue, right, that we can attack the MCU and these characters from. Just having this vibe, my heart was racing. I was excited. I'm I know nothing about these characters. I don't really know anything about Werewolf by Night. People I think of Man-Thing. I just think of the Swamp Thing from the DC universe. And then Elsa Bloodstone, I have no idea. But I kind of agree with you. It's so weird how we just got all these different delays, right? Fantastic Four delayed, Secret Wars delayed. It's almost that Secret Wars type of world that isn't, as you said, above ground. We have the underworld and we have what's going on above ground. I'm almost more excited to see the future projects in this underworld. You talked about your anticipation for Blade. I enjoyed Moon Knight. A lot of people did not like it. It seems like a pretty divisive series for MCU fans, but the potential for that character and just having Oscar Isaac a part of the MCU, I want that. Doctor Strange seems like it's going more into that darker horror sector of the MCU. And now we have Werewolf by Night, Elsa Bloodstone, and Man-Thing joining this small niche category within the MCU. Midnight Suns is something that's talked about. Ghost Rider is notoriously a part of this group too. It's
Ryan Gosling, are you there?
Ryan Gosling, oh my God, dude. If he was to do this, or Keanu Reeves was to join Ghost Rider,
Ryan
Ghost
Gosling
Rider,
said he wanted to. If he had to pick any MCU character. I know, but you got to pick the Goss God.
Trial by combat.
Goss God wins.
I just want to have this corner not be a part of Secret Wars. Just keep it pure. Keep it a part of itself. Doctor Strange has to be in Secret Wars.
All right, let's be clear. All right, we're excited here, but I don't want them a part of Secret Wars. The glory of this is that it's separate. That's what's good about it. That's why I'm kind of hesitant saying, "Oh, let's have Blade, the Midnight Suns. Let's have Blade, Ghost Rider, right?" But those are major Marvel characters that everyone should know.
Those are in the horror sector, though.
I know, but if we had to pick between Secret Wars or that,
this, right? They got vampires in this episode, in this hour of television. I couldn't help but think of and Michael Giacchino has said that he initially wanted Blade a part. They were thinking about having Blade a part of this, but ultimately they said no.
Well, I saw that quote as well, but Blade is looking for a new director.
That looks like it's in pretty rough shape right now. And I wonder if it's like Blade that pushed everything back. Like they have to get Blade right for everything else. I'm a little nervous about that because once again, because like Secret Wars gets pushed back. We're just jumping into a little bit of the checkup right now. Secret Wars pushed back. Fantastic Four pushed back. But I didn't hear about like any issues going on with Fantastic Four or Secret Wars. We kind of assumed Secret Wars was going to get pushed back because 2 Avengers films in 1 year, Kang Dynasty is coming out in 2025. That was just going to be too much. But like, why is everything getting pushed back now, right after we're hearing all about this Blade news, right? I want Blade to be more a part of this world than the Secret Wars world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just tough for me, like someone as big as Mahershala Ali, not being a part of Secret Wars is like his character, it makes sense. It's just like you cast him because he's such a mega star and actor. So to have like probably the best actor in the MCU right now not be a part of Secret Wars is a tough look. And Gaska joining as well. But again, like Blade and Ghost Rider, like no offense to them, they're not A-list celebrities. They're not A-list superheroes. So I wouldn't hate it. It's just that, oh, you have your best actors not in your biggest thing. That is odd. But maybe we just corner this market. That's what I'm thinking. Let's corner this market of the underworld. Make it your own, Giacchino. I would say, hey, I still like Sam Raimi to direct, that his experience level to direct Blade, but maybe Giacchino steps in. He's hinted at Blade being a part of this as well, wanted him in it. Maybe he takes the mantle. There's a clear history of Feige a la Michael Waldron, not a lot of experience, but getting the big projects a la Secret Wars. So maybe he does the same theory on the directing side, not just writing with Giacchino and Blade.
And this does give more creative opportunity, obviously, from what we just saw in Werewolf by Night. Like, it didn't say, as I said before, I called it a holiday special. I called it a Halloween special, but that's not the actual title. It just has a special presentation from Marvel Studios, which means, like, maybe we get more of these in the future. It seems like fans are, like, basically, it's almost like a consensus this was good, at least good, you know?
Yeah.
In the series, they have not been, like, in terms of the consensus, what we've seen on social media, what we've seen in terms of audience scores, it hasn't been a consensus. This is amazing with every series in phase 4. And these specials can have certain identities that could be alluring to amazing filmmakers. He was just hinting at potentially Sam Raimi doing like his own sector here, doing an hour himself, you know, like it seems like we have Scott Derrickson who was turned off, right? And he didn't have the same creative vision for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Sam Raimi has to come in and kind of patch things up. Maybe like you get some of those acclaimed horror directors that want to do these 1 hour specials. It doesn't even have to be like these horror directors. It could be like, you could think about those who do rom-coms and like somehow, or these other forms of comedy, or I don't know. You could just find so many different avenues now with these lesser known characters. You could take more of a risk because you're only spending an hour with them. And guess what? If the fans are like, yes, we're buying it, give them a feature project, right? Because we want to see more.
Yeah. So leaving the TV, I can't say theater because this wasn't in a theater, but after viewing Werewolf by Night, like everyone has the same reaction. It was good, but why? That's what I'm curious about.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone agrees that it's good. Okay. But do they agree because it would beat their expectation, or they're agreeing to a Rotten Tomatoes score? Because in my opinion, this was good. Okay. But the Rotten Tomatoes score inflates its value. This didn't reinvent the wheel, right? We're speaking a lot right now at a macro level, an outer MCU look. But let's just say this wasn't in the MCU and this was a solo project, totally just a random Halloween special. How good would this be?
I think it was pretty good.
I know, but that's exactly what I was going to say. It's pretty good. Not a 92 out of 100
filmmaking in the MCU is now possible, where it's not like, oh, it's got to overall feel like this.
No, right.
But you could,
but listen what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we're going to have scores for this movie or special. I think this is a situation where, okay, let's view this movie not as an MCU project. Just let's watch it separately. Is it a 92 out of 100? No, this isn't. And that's not a diss against it. It's hard to get a 92 out of 100 score. Rotten Tomatoes is just saying 92% of people like this movie that rated it. All right. This was highly likable and this was good. But was it a 92 out of 100 score? No. But
No.
at a macro level, this was great for the MCU. But looking at it holistically, it's like, okay, let's do more of these. But I think we even have further room to grow. This was just the beginning. I think it can get better.
So this is interesting because you're talking about grading it like as a regular movie, right? And I'm not even talking about it like in the MCU. The thing is that this is a 1 hour special, and it purposefully doesn't give you background on these characters. This was a full-length feature, and this is what we got stretched out into 2 hours, and we didn't get more about Jack Russell, his relationship with Man-Thing. We didn't get more about Elsa Bloodstone, because that was really like my only major issues with the movie, is that we didn't know where these people came from, and we didn't know, we kind of had to read them from face value. But somehow I still felt emotional about these characters, even spending very little time with them. And I don't know if that's because of the aesthetic. I don't know if it's because of the acting here, and I honestly think that this was a lot. I didn't get enough Werewolf, in my opinion, too, for Werewolf by Nights. That's a huge part of it. So yes, like I agree that it's not like a high 90s type of movie where I'm saying this is the best, one of the an A-list type of project from the MCU, or top tier when we think about our Marvel tiers. But I don't know if we can grade it the same way, because it's only meant to pique our interest, an entertaining hour, and it's almost should be more of like how we grade an episode of She-Hulk or an episode of another MCU show rather than a full-length feature. So I think it's perfect, like you talked about, there's so much room to grow. Yeah, like that's why I want to see more of Man-Thing. Give me a prequel series with Man-Thing, right? Give me like
the series. That's not a series.
Something. Why not? Like a road trip.
Then you have the filler episodes.
But yes, but this is like it's not like we're introducing the characters now. We've seen them. It's what the MCU does terribly in like some of these series is that they're having these new characters that we aren't familiar with, and then we end up not liking them in certain moments, in certain filler moments, like She-Hulk, and we're stuck with them for another 2 hours after we decided we don't like them. Here we see these characters, we get their vibe overall, and I'm like, okay, I am down to see a series with these guys now. You know the difference?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I just, again, I don't want to jump to conclusions. I want to continue exploring this underworld, new characters, new stories, and then how they come into one, maybe a full feature. Yeah, I'm all in. Midnight Suns, I'm all in. Not a Halloween guy, and I'm all in. But let's not overinflate ourselves with one property, or like one specific property within this entire property, right?
It just shows the potential too. That's why we're excited.
Yeah,
we're just like, this works. The series aren't. The movies aren't really working right now. It's like this worked.
Or the shows.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like Phase 4 overall, it's just, to me, it's been a failure from the MCU. If you're trying to generate buzz following like Phase 3,
these delays don't help either. 2026 Secret Wars, that's kind of crazy. 4 years from now, that's ridiculous.
It's hurting.
Why even put a date on it? Why give our hopes up?
Yeah. And it's just the label of the multiverse saga. They're trying to put some glam over this phase, these next 2 phases following Phase 4. And I think a lot of MCU fans are just buying it. They're just naturally like, yeah, it's going to pay off during Phase 6.
Endgame, Infinity War.
In like Secret Wars, like it was so hard for Infinity War to actually get done and connect so well to Endgame and reunite all these characters. Like, people even like thought about like Secret Wars might be bad. Like I know it's like all these favorite characters, but like, how are you going to guarantee this is good if you don't have the reliable director?
You know what you sound like?
What?
You're sounding like 2016, 2015 when Infinity War, Endgame.
Oh, no.
How that's going to come together. But now it's like, okay, you're saying that now, but you have substance to it, because they've been failing introducing new characters for the most part here. They've been failing trying to incorporate Disney Plus, the business plan to go along with the theater experience and the viewer audience experience, trying to combine the two, complement the two, and it's been failing for the most part. WandaVision, exception, but then Doctor Strange 2, failure with Wanda. So I agree with you. I just think, hey, we have a good thing going here. Let's not try to ramp it up a crazy amount, but then let's not also do nothing. Let's just be like a steady, like, what's the turtle in the hair? Like, let's just be steady. Tortoise in the hair. Exactly. Let's not be the hair, right? Or else Secret Wars does mess up. or Underworld does get messed up.
We've
You know,
just
let's be the
looking so
toys.
far ahead.
It's
So far
crazy.
ahead.
Deadpool
Yeah.
3 with the huge news. 2025? Is that a joke? To just have that news and then delay it a year? The disrespect they do, MCU, the biggest disrespect to fans in any genre, not just movies, like in sports and any fandom that you can have, the MCU just says, oh, you're always going to be here, so it's not going to matter. They think they're doing it for us. No. Why do you think Disney Plus has so many shows coming out? Why do you think no new characters are coming out? Why do you think that this Phase 4 has been a failure? Just remember that.
These fans show immense loyalty, but like, when is that going to run out? Like, when is like Spider-Man No Way Home was very exciting, but like beyond the Spider-Man No Way Home, you like, Wanda was a huge part of this phase, and fans seem to adore her so immensely after WandaVision. But guess what? She's dead. You know, you're gonna bring her back somehow, but that's because like you feel like you have to, and that's why I like this horror sector here, because like, it's pure. It still feels pure. Yeah. It feels like nothing's messed up so far. You haven't like collided all these different characters. You're letting them stand on their own for now. At least keep it that way, or else like, I don't know. Just, it feels like you have a chance at exposing, right, or basically showing that you're trying to change these characters just so they can interact with others, change the vibe of these characters. A lot of people are complaining about that with Daredevil. Like Daredevil coming to She-Hulk, and there's like, you're not letting Daredevil be his true self. You're doing your best to like mold him into the show, but he's still not like true Daredevil here. You know, he's still like doing the walk of shame like at the end of the episode where like, yeah, he's not doing that in his own show.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I just think, just to clean this up, by the way, Deadpool 3 is delayed to 2024, end of 2024.
Yeah, because they were going to start filming in January.
Right. Exactly. So end of 2024. I said 2025, I think. Fantastic Four, February 2025. Interesting release date. Secret Wars, May 1st, 2026.
I don't even know if the X-Men are going to be introduced at that point, which has half of my excitement for Secret Wars. Like, if they're not in it, that takes everything away. But this is also like, MCU is going to be a victim of the ones that released Infinity War and Endgame. You built up like expectations like for the audience now, like it has to live up to, and if it doesn't, who knows, are people going to tune in after Secret Wars?
And
you
also,
know, it's a lot riding on this. Maybe that's why they're taking their time and delaying everything.
But yeah, I agree. And like, getting back to the Underworld here, and actually the special that we're reviewing that we just really haven't talked about, except how good it is. I also loved surprising thing from Disney Plus. It was pretty gory.
Yeah,
you know, it was pretty gory.
Some of the most
pretty good.
I think also, I was thinking about this, like it has like people like getting sliced in the head, right? Some brutal deaths, some people getting fried by like Man-Thing grabbing their skull. But the fact that it's in black and white, it's not like you see blood squirting everywhere. You know, it's just like it felt like there wasn't a lot of blood in general.
Man-Thing was sick. I agree. Man-Thing was sick. He's the unsung hero of this. If there was no Man-Thing, this would be like mediocre. He was so good. Like, Man-Thing was awesome. Best part, unsung hero goes to Man-Thing. The werewolf scene, right? Wish we saw more of him, like you said earlier. I think it could have been crazier. Like, give me Logan vibes. Like, give me just all out, like, you're taking people's heads off with your hand, like Logan did with his hand. Like, I wanted to see a little gorier on that end, but what we saw, still more than expected from Disney Plus, and I think that goes to show, like exactly like you were saying, with the black and white element. So, in all, like, the actual action in this was good. The gore was good, better than expected on both ends. I wish I saw more werewolf. Man-Thing was sick, and that really made this like, yup, stamp of approval. If I did see a Man-Thing prequel series, yes, I was just saying how, like, let's not go crazy right now. Let's appreciate this. But I would be super excited because he was that good in this.
See the origins, and they humanized Man-Thing. He didn't go by Man-Thing here. He went by Jack. Ted. What was Jack Russell's, who's Werewolf by Night? What was his relationship with Ted prior to this movie? Did he know him as a human, and that's why he's such a connection with him as a monster? Was Jack Russell supposed to hunt Man-Thing, and they ended up developing a bond? There seems to be like a lot of like backstory that could go into these characters, right? And that's why we're so excited about this project. I do want to talk about the action really quick because it was pretty gory. I guess more hardcore than gory because it wasn't too bloody all over the place,
Right.
but
I
it
agree
was
with that.
hardcore. And it's sometimes what I think was smart, Giacchino also leaning into like the aesthetic and like the tribute to 30s and 40s type of horror filmmaking, the light and dark when they're in the hallway type of scene and he goes into the shadows and you could just tell he is like, he's eviscerating these people. He's murdering them straight up, you know? And sometimes, even though this has a TV MA14 rating to it, like you could tell he's just like they don't want to show everything, but it's enough where you hear the shrieking and you see the terror on people's faces with Werewolf by Night. And not to mention, I liked how like the suit was practical. You know, it would feel wrong if the suit was like CGI in this type of environment, right? That feels so old school. That feels so 30s and 40s. Like you can't have CGI. Like
Giacchino
I
just
think it
came from
works.
working with Matt Reeves. Like
I was thinking of the Batman when he's taking the bullet and it's lit up by
the
like the
hallway scene.
bullets.
The hallway
Yeah,
scene. I was
exactly.
like,
I
he
think
took that from Reeves.
100%.
Don't mind it.
And I think we should also talk about Elsa Bloodstone here because I think we talked a little bit about Jack Russell. Like I take it back. We got to talk about the main character here. Let's talk about the performance.
MVP.
Gal Garcia Bernal as Jack Russell here, the Werewolf by Night. I'm not too familiar with his work. I know he was in Coco, where he's voice of Hector in Coco. Do you know what else he's in, Ricky Flex? I don't have the IMDb.
I was wondering, like, why did he look so familiar? Okay, why? What have I seen him in? I looked at his IMDb. I saw the Coco. He voiced Hector in that, but I was trying to listen to his voice. Didn't really like hear it. So I'm like, what else do I know? I mean, it's just all Spanish movies or relatively new now, English speaking movies now. And it's because he was in Old last year. Do you remember how much promotion went in that movie?
Yeah, I just saw him on every commercial.
Yeah. So that's where I recognized him from. I haven't seen Old, but I recognized him from how many goddamn commercials there were for it. So yeah, not very well-known actor, but this looks like this is a great stepping stone.
100%. And like he came off like I didn't know what his vibe was going to be, especially in this type of environment. I didn't know if he was going to be cold-hearted, but he's pretty heartwarming the entire time. He's very approachable. And it's not only to just Man-Thing, and it's very touching when like Man-Thing, when you don't understand the dynamic yet, and Man-Thing hugs him and he's like braced in his arms. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like this very simple story has now just like kind of taken a little bit of a turn that we didn't expect. Right. And we find out that he has no intention of taking the Bloodstone. He wants to save his friend, right? Man-Thing, which makes you also want to find out how do these two guys know each other. But I thought like even when he's talking to the other monster hunters, like he's just a nice guy. And he is someone like it's I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, obviously, but it's a werewolf, obviously. So it's like two iconic characters. But I just think that he's just very likable in the role. And I would like to see him don this character again and see how he interacts with more like MCU heroes, even as horror genre, where you're going to have Blade, who seems like a very like cold-hearted person, obviously, from the brief dialogue we got at the end of Eternal, spoiler alert. But he's going to be around some rough and tough dudes, but he's soft-hearted, but he could turn into the meanest dude that could just kill anyone at any point if he wanted to. Not if you
once a month.
They got to change that, by the way. Like he can't be interacting with other heroes and only turn into the werewolf.
Yeah, they got to make it on command, similar to like Hulk. She-Hulk.
Or it's like Moon Knight. He couldn't like snap out of it sometimes. He couldn't change into different characters. He couldn't. Like,
and that's what I thought about. I thought about that Moon Knight while watching this because Moon Knight obviously two personality. Yeah. You have one personality that isn't a fighter, isn't athletic, knowledgeable, and then you have another one that is also knowledgeable, I should say. But I'm just bear with me here. But then an absolute just psychopath killer, like assassin, and that's basically what the werewolf is. Mm-hmm. So let's pump up the werewolf's numbers. Let's pump up the violence and let's get more of it. And let's really get crazy with it. That's my like final like Jack thoughts. Because I think Jack was good. And I think the werewolf was good. But I think there's plenty of room for growth with the werewolf.
Yeah. I just like the two ends of the spectrum where he's not like this. He's a monster hunter, but he's not the monster hunter. The werewolf is the monster hunter. He's just a regular dude, you know, and who just has this loving relationship with his it's not even his pet, it's his friend. Like it's like his companion. And I think also we should lean into we should talk about Laura Donnelly, who plays Elsa Bloodstone, another character that Jack's interacting with. I did have some issues. Like they get trapped inside the church and like they can't get out of the church. I'm like, dude, you guys are hunting monsters and you can't open a door somehow. Like what's going on? And then she pulls out like a random key to get out of the room. But it did provide an opportunity for these two characters to get to know each other. And I think it was also like Elsa was the female lead here, and she was pretty much splitting screen time with Jack Russell. At first, I was just like, I want to see more of Jack because he's Werewolf by Night, and I want to see more of Man-Thing. But I found she was pretty badass herself. Like she's doing the Black Widow. She's twisting her legs around the dude's neck and throwing him against the wall. Like she has very much like Black Widow type skills. And she talks about, they even hint at her character and her background at the beginning because her father's the one who passes away. She comes back to the funeral, even though she's not invited for the funeral, even though she's not invited. And she didn't train under her father, right? She trained under this other guy it's hinted at, right? Or under different, who I don't even know if it's a person or a group of people, but it also hints at her backstory as well. If you wanted to dive into her, I don't think she's intriguing enough to like dive into on her own. But if she wants to be a part of a Werewolf by Night series, I got no issue with that. I liked her in this, and I thought it was one of the probably the most iconic shot from this project is her like during the time where Jack's turning into the werewolf. She's hanging against the cage. She's shrieking, but she can't lose eye contact. I'm like, okay, this is the type of filmmaking that we're looking for that captures this old school horror vibe, you know?
Yeah, she was great in this. She's the classic moody with an attitude, quick-witted, clever
Jessica Jones
character that's an absolute assassin, and she literally assassin. So she was great. I do agree with you. They did take their liberties with the character, and like just to advance the plot, definitely. But hey, end of the day, I think that character really worked. And again, it's only an hour, 55-minute special, so we're not going to get a big background into the character. So I'm fine with what they gave us. I really am. And again, like she's also I never watched this show, but I saw this stat last year and it absolutely like made me like take a step back. The Nevers, the HBO show that came out last year, she was the star in that. I never watched it, but the numbers are phenomenal. It's one of the highest rated shows ever to be on HBO.
Wow.
Like highest rated like as in not
She's
like
talented.
critically viewers. People watch the Nevers, so they know this character too, or actor, Laura Donnelly. I didn't. So I just thought that was interesting as well.
She's good. She has the edge to her that I think also goes well with the soft-hearted Jack Russell. And she also has like some chemistry gained with Man-Thing if these three ever unite again. And you almost can assume so, right? Following this special. Trying to think of anything else. Do you have any like final thoughts before we give this a score and put it on the tiers?
So the tiers, it's not God level. It's not Hall of Fame. Okay. And it's not a reject. So this is the decision where is it in the All-Stars or is
We
it
got to go
solid?
through this again. So for anyone new listening, do you have the tiers in front of you, Ricky Flex?
Yeah, I just said all five. So
Just in order. So you have
God
the
level,
God tier,
Hall of
the
Fame,
Hall of Fame,
All
Hall of Very
Stars,
Good. Oh, All Stars, excuse me.
solid, the rejects.
Gotcha.
So it's got to be an All-Star or solid. But when I look at our All-Star list, it's tough because this isn't like a full movie. This is a special. Our All-Star list is Thor, Captain America: First Avenger, Avengers: Age of Ultron, Doctor Strange, Guardians 2, Spider-Man: Far From Home. So does it belong there or is it solid? Like a
All-Star.
Shang-Chi, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think it's better than that, but I think it's worse than all those All-Stars for the most part. So
Well,
I think
the fact we have to change this. Thor should not be an all-star. I know I conceded to that last time. Thor is not an all-star. That takes this category down a bit.
I honestly don't think Iron Man 2 or Iron Man 3 are solid anymore. I don't know if I did at the time.
Well, yeah, that's. Oh, you think they're lower?
They could be a reject.
I think Iron Man 3 has a potential reject, but like Hall of Fame wise, like we're gonna put this with Black Panther, No Way Home, Homecoming, Civil War, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Avengers. Like it's all not Hall of Fame. Are we deciding between solid and all-star? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, and it's
It's an
not a
all-star.
Hall of Fame.
This is an all-star.
Okay, I think we
Yeah.
decided it then. It's definitely not in the Hall of Fame. It's nowhere near Black
This is
Panther.
better than like Thor, the original Thor.
Thor is just like sentimental because it's the first Thor.
It's better than
Loki.
Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm not a huge Spider-Man Far From Home guy. It's better than
I won't
Shang-Chi.
say that. It's better than Shang-Chi, but our Shang-Chi, like we moved that back to solid.
It's
That was
not
a
better
mistake.
than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, in my opinion. But
Correct. Is it better than Doctor Strange? I don't
No.
think so.
no,
I don't think
but I think
I
it
think
belongs
it's the
in that
last
category,
of the
though.
All-Stars.
Yeah, it's an all-star. I think we put in the all-star tier.
That's good. Giacchino, congrats.
Yes.
So then what's your score for
100%.
this if it's an All-Star?
So I initially wanted to do a super high here, just taking it for what it was. But if I'm doing this basically like, am I looking at this like a movie? Because it hints at like where we could go with these characters, but we honestly don't know much about them anyway. But somehow I still commend that I felt emotion for these characters. It's going to be in the 80s. It's not going to crack 90 because it just isn't. It's not. I don't know enough about these characters. I just want to know more. I'm going to put it at an 84. I'm going to put it at 84 out of 100 for a Werewolf by Night.
I can't put this in the 80s.
You're going to put this lower? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's not solid. Like we just did like the tiers. It's better than solid, but like saying this is an all-star when you compare it to those names that we just said, it's tough, but it does belong there. But on a score level, I have it at a 79.
Okay. Yeah.
Just below.
Whatever. It's like 5 points difference.
Yeah. But like just putting that 80, that 8 sticker on it, I just couldn't do it. I tried. I just couldn't get myself to do it.